Welcome to Channel AMAC, your insight to the Australian visa system. Good day everyone, my name is Carl Young, your online YouTube visa consultant. Are you interested about migrating to Australia? Why don't you consider to subscribe to my channel and turn on a little bell on the side so once we have all the updates and news, you'll be the first one getting all the insight. Now today's video is all about reviewing reviewing what has been open for all the state skill migration nomination criteria. Now, since the new financial year of 2022 and 23, 1st of July, obviously due to the change of government, there has been a shift of the requirement resources putting into the Department of Immigration, Department of Home Affairs. Obviously, if you might have been following my channel long enough, there has been a lot of struggle due to the skill shortage and the budget and things. Now, obviously, it's going to be a very hopeful and very bright future for all the migrants who have that interest to go to Australia. Now we have since got 3 states and territories already got their skill migration open. So today in this video we're gonna go through some review of them, which was gonna cover Northern Territory, Tasmania, and also Victoria. Now obviously there has been a Western Australia side, but I'll leave that a little bit later on, so make sure you subscribe to my channel. But this video is going to be a little bit lengthy because we're going to cover a little bit more, but obviously we have this video out on the weekend, so I want to spend a little bit more time and also summarize the differences between these 3 states. And obviously in the coming weeks and months there's going to be more other states going to be opened up, and I'll do a lot more video in detail explanations, and well, it's better and transparent for you to actually pick and choose which is the best that suits you. So let's start with Northern Territory. Now obviously they have done some update of their website. It looks great. Now the only changes between this new version and the previous is the color. Nothing else, and I don't see much of changes in the eligibility and the criteria here, but let's go through them anyway, since we are already here. Now Northern Territory, basically they are happy to accept any occupations, just like how Victoria has opened up their skill migration state nomination the day before. But looks like the Victoria has actually got a much better, because they're actually going down to the lowest limits and the standards for skilled migrants. Some of the states, due to the past 2 years, they have raised a little bit of the changes and differences, and for particular occupation they do put some caveat. Caveat means they have additional criteria to it. Now Victoria, we'll go through it today as well. They just don't have anything, so that means every occupation is going back to the origin. But let's talk about the territory. Okay, the skill work regional 491 and 190 minimum requirement to migrate to Australia. Check out the Department of Home Affairs. Well, pretty obvious now. That's pretty redundant. We don't need to go check them out, but anyway, they are required to put that on. Age, now you got to be 45 under. Skill assessment, of course you need to get your skill assessment done. It has to be a full skill assessment, so it cannot be a provisional. Provisional is like for those like accountants, what else, chef and cook, carpenter, IT do have some provisional. That's for the newly graduates. You get a provisional skill set, so that will not meet the requirement. You need to get a full skill assessment. Now English, obviously you need to land at the minimum required. That's competent. That's equivalent to IELTS 6. So Northern Territory government accept all English tests approved by Australian government Department of Home Affairs. So that's include IELTS, PTE, TOEFL, Cambridge, OET. Yeah. Okay. Point test. Make the skill migrant point test 65 or higher, so that's the minimum. I think what we need to see here now, I won't go through the state requirement of the commitment, occupation, and employability, because that's generally overlapping through different state and territory. They are all the same. They basically, the state government or territory government will want you to sign a statement saying, look, yes, I'm gonna stay here, I won't leave, and I have the money. So Northern Territory is still required to do that. Some of the states don't need to do that anymore. Looks like they won a lot of money to be in the bank. So just to show that you can actually live in Northern Territory. So the key here to use the Northern Territory's migration website is that you actually go, what's this additional requirement for onshore? Let's click on that. Eligible for, oh, that's new. Additional requirement, Northern Territory grant nomination of a subclass 491 and 190, blah, blah, blah. There's a range of factors. So one, eligible NT graduates. Let's have a look at this one. This is probably new than what they had offered previously. So international student graduate has studied in Northern Territory will be eligible for 190 nomination if you met the following criteria before applying nomination. So successful can be one or more qualification. That's pretty easy. 2 years. Well, that's pretty easy as well. Any courses will go for 2 years because you're going to meet Australian study requirement anyhow. Live in Northern Territory a period of 6 continuous months, or if you study there, you'll be there anyway. Okay, demonstrate genuine, sustained effort to obtain employment. That's pretty straightforward. International student graduate who are unable to live in Northern Territory for 6 months after completing 2 years, a study in Northern Territory will only be considered for 491. Whoa, so if you cannot, if you leave Northern Territory because you cannot find a closely related jobs, they still like to keep you there to do other works if possible, but they'll give you 491. So that's an incentive. That's very good. Other NT residents, so that means you have come to Northern Territory, live there. NT resident applicant will be eligible subclass 190 if you demonstrate you have resided in Northern Territory for 2 continuous years, demonstrate you have that none of your migrant dependent residing other part of Australia, so they cannot go anywhere. They all have, the whole family has to stay in Northern Territory. You have a full-time employment 12 months, and same thing apply to 1st July 2020. So that's for people who have resided 6 months, demonstrate that you dependent living no living other part of Australia, and have full-time work and things like that. So that's very good. That's a good incentive. So I assume that they will. Do you need to do ROI or something like that? How to apply? Let's go there. Now you need to put. You need to get our skill assessment, CV, qualification, passport, Australian visa, English requirement, EOI points breakdown table, evidence of additional EOI claim on the EOI. So there is no ROI requirement here. So I don't know how they're going to check the Northern Territory, the additional eligibility there. So anyhow, you'll be interested that you've been picked up. They will probably ask that sort of stuff for the additional requirement there. Now, the key here that we're going to go into is this occupation list that I'm going to take you a little bit of education here. They will generally give you comment on the side. As you can see from the first one, that's what the caveat requirement there on the comment on the right hand side. So as you can see, if you're an accountant, offshore applicant, if you're offshore, you need to show these additional information there. But I think accountant, once you get skill assessment, you need to get IELTS 7 anyway. So I'm not too sure, because if you're unsure, you need to get 7 unless otherwise. But anyway, airplane pilot subclass 491. So they got this comment on the side. Otherwise, all the 200 something occupation is all in the Northern Territory list. So what you need to do is you check out your occupation through the list, and then read on the right hand side whether there is additional criteria required here. So let's pick one. So ICT business analysis, offshore applicant must have proof of evidence of having an offer employed in Northern Territory. So again, that's just additional criteria there. So it's pretty straightforward. So I'm not too sure this skill occupation list. So this is just it's just redundant of what it's required. But anyway, it's what we have just seen there. So update on Northern Territory GSM nomination applicant. migration NT continue to receive a assessor onshore applicant under eligibility criteria, which that we have just gone through. So let's just revise, and at the end of this video I will compare the 3 states and territory. But here let's just revise for Northern Territory's criteria. It's basically open for all the occupations, and there are some additional common requirements. If you need to go through their skill occupation list and read on the right hand side. And now in 2022 and 23 they encourage those Northern Territory NT graduates and also who has been living in Northern Territory for more than 24 months, so 2 years, you actually get that prioritized nomination status there. However, the only thing is Northern Territory doesn't. You don't need to submit an ROI, a registration of interest. So I wonder how they're gonna know through EOI that you have lived there. So I don't know. I don't know how they're gonna identify. But anyway, that is for Northern Territory. Now let's jump into Victoria, as we have a couple of days ago we have updated this for everybody. So I'll do that again in a quicker fashion, but if you want to know more detail, more than welcome to go back to my previous video that we have done there. You can actually utilize our YouTube channel as a Australian immigration library, as I should coin that name, because we have more than 500 videos based on answering questions and updates of immigration status. So you can actually use that and search in there. You can find a lot of answers for yourself. Okay, now 11th of August, obviously the Victoria 2022-23 skill migration program has been open. The key here is they remove the previous required target sector. So you're no longer required to be in those target sector. Now, what are the target sector? Target sector used to be all the technology field of industry and work. So no more requirement. Victoria government basically going back to the origin of the skill migration. That means there's not even a caveat like what we have just seen in Northern Territory. And there is no additional requirement. So you don't need to be, well, obviously you can graduate from Victoria, but you're welcome from anywhere around Australia. There is no prioritization on people who have lived in Victoria longer than they give you prioritization. So they basically open for, and that's for onshore and offshore. So Victorian government basically wanted to play like a federal government. So they basically follow what the federal government's minimum requirement, and they play just like the federal government. There's no more skill occupation list. There is no more prioritization for example, differences between PhD and other. But obviously, once you go into the pool, they are still gonna assess with the higher points scoring a candidate to be picked up, to be selected. Okay, now make sure if you have done so back a year ago in 2021-22, dump those ROI. Do another new one. I would say, if general practice point of view, I would dump the EOI as well. Just do all brand new, so everything's new, so everything is updated. I think that's a much better management on the visa portfolio. Now, changes on 2022 and 23 basically are what I have just said. This onshore and offshore applicant can apply now. So, and more eligible occupation, well, basically that's every occupation. So all occupation in the department are now eligible. Applicants are no longer required to using STEM skill to work in target sector to apply. So no more target sector. However, under I think under 491, let's jump in there. Now, first of all, just what is this one? This is basically the information there. Now that's not 190. So how to apply? Who can apply? This criteria that I have just highlighted is basically the origin. It's the lowest minimum requirement of federal government. So what I'm trying to say is the Victorian government is actually playing like the federal government. There is no additional requirement for Victorian government. Anyone can come as long as you make the points enough. And how to apply, I'm not going to go through those ones because you can go back to my previous video on how to do EOI, ROI, and all the rest of the step-by-step thing. The only differences here I can see is on the 491, who can apply. It's still the same. There's nothing much apart from you got to be at regional Victoria, but there is onshore, I think, no, offshore. Where is it? Once you nominated, I thought that was there is a part that is basically looking for, I'm sorry with clicking all these around, that they are prioritized more. Oh, here we go. Initially we will be so this is the start of this program. They will prioritize on the health occupation. However, we encourage applicant in other occupation to submit. So that is the only differences that the 491 and 190 have in there. So there's nothing else that I identify as different. So there's only because we're in the post-pandemic era, so obviously I think they are still looking for more medical and health related occupation in Victoria, especially when Victoria has been the state that has suffered the most from COVID-19. So I suspect that's the reason why they put it there. But as it reads, it says all other occupation are, you're happy to actually put in there. So Victoria, summarize it's a state. Obviously, their criteria is like to play what the criteria matching almost 99% the same as the federal government. So, well, it's very welcome, and it's also a big sign that what I had predicted, that the quota, the annual intake, will definitely increase. Now, by how much we don't know, but I think it's gonna at least 200,000 for annual intake. And that's why Victoria government had that figure to actually widen its migration policies. Now, last but not least, let's go to Tasmania. Okay, now bear in mind, let me magnify that a little bit. Okay, bear in mind, Tasmania and Northern Territory are generally a smaller state or territory, and also a smaller economy. So their quota, as you can see, let me magnify that more, is still very minimal. As you can see, in 2020-23, unlike Victoria, they are basically like everyone to come. Look at this. Full year quota, 2,000 places and 1,350 for 491. Now, that is not much in compared to the previous year's criteria. I think the reason here is still the small economy. They cannot handle that many migrants, and they don't have that many jobs open out there. So skill shortage in Tasmania, probably not. But skill shortage in mainland Australia, in the eastern seaboard, Melbourne, Sydney, and Queensland, yes. And also South Australia, and also Western Australia, yes. But Tasmania, probably not. Probably not. That's why they have very, very minimal numbers of quota. So again, this is also a key here. I always advise, unless you really like Tasmania, you can go. But if you are there for the sole purpose of migrate, well, good luck, because you are actually competing with very minimal places and with a lot of people. Okay, so anyway, let's jump in there. I'll do a brief there. So that's the Tasmania's migration website. So 190. Okay, let's go. Now, overview, we probably will skip that and how to apply. There is on the left-hand side, as you can see, on the navigation, there is, for 190, there is a skill employment pathway, skill graduate, and established resident. So the three differences is basically, one is you have been employed in Tasmania, the other one is you have a newly graduate from Tasmania, and the third one is you have been living in Tasmania long enough. But I'll go through each of them. So employment, you got to be there 6 months, and there is a TOSOL, a new Tasmania occupation list, which is actually no good, because that actually covers a lot of occupation, but still it seems to be a restriction there. Now it tells us that a skill shortage in Tasmania? Probably not. And that's why they're still there to only pick the one they want. Okay, and I've gone through a lot of candidates here, and obviously in my comment, there has been a lot of people they've been through the experience with Tasmanian government and really dissatisfied about how they actually get nominated or not. And still graduate, it's pretty straightforward. Oh, by the way, with a new way to actually read the Tasmania migration, there is prioritization on gold, green, and orange level. Obviously, if you hit gold, you get invited, and you hit green, it's norm, and orange, okay, and if you don't even hit orange, you probably won't get picked up at all. So there's other thing that you need to do at ROI as well. So you need to put expression of interest, and you need to put a register of interest for Tasmania nomination as well. So not like Northern Territory, you don't need to do anything. But anyway, okay, skill graduate pathway. Obviously, you need to study in Tasmania for at least 2 years, so that's 92 weeks, and obviously prioritization there. But again, you may you need to be very competitive, because the numbers of quota given to Tasmania is very minimal compared to all the other states there. Although it seems to be the criteria is pretty loose and pretty open, but the problem with Tasmania is always the quota is very minimal. Established resident, you need to show that you have been living there for 3 years, which is easy, because if you go there study high school or bachelor degree, you easily hit that point anyway. But again, they have a gold, green, and orange. That usually gold, the prioritization is that you're there and you got jobs, and the green is you got job, but you only just got the jobs, and the orange is others. Okay, and that's for Tasmania. Now, if you go to the 491 here, same thing. If we read on the left hand side on the navigation bar, it's the same. Now they have two more things. Differences here is business operator and overseas job offer, and also the three more difference. Three more additional pathways. So overseas jobs and overseas invitation only. For skill employment, it's a little bit less required, and you don't need to be working in the closely related occupation, which is one of the things that I have predicted for all the other states to be coming up. But looks like Victoria don't even bother for employment employability. So Victoria government basically hit to the ground zero, go back to the origin. So which is much easier than this one. So would you pick Victoria or Tasmania? That's a straightforward answer for you. Graduate, you can study 1 year. If you cannot complete 2 years, you cannot pick something to study 2 years. Completing 1 year is fine, and you go through 491. Established resident, 2 years compared to 3 years for 190. Business operator, obviously they want you to actually open up the business there and pay yourself at least for $45,815 for annual salary, so you actually pay tax, contribute tax to the government that way. And for overseas applicants, if you get a job for Tasmania, great, come to Tasmania, or else you need to meet those additional criteria, overseas skill occupation profile. So that's a list that is minimal as well. So let's summarize all these states and territory today for Northern Territory, Tasmania, and Victoria. So obviously, who is the winner on these state nomination criteria? I will say obviously Victoria, because Victoria is trying to play God, going to play like the federal government, hitting the ground zero mark rather than giving additional criteria. As long as you meet the federal government's criteria, you meet the Victorian criteria. Again, there has been an argument about big cities. You don't want people to go to big city anymore, should get those migrants to all the other regional Australia. But the 24-month of pandemic national lockdown had caused a lot of issues, as you can see. To be honest, I didn't expect the government of Victoria will be that wide opened. I didn't expect that. But it's a good sign. That means Australia is back to where it was 10 years ago. As long as you come to study, they are welcoming you there. Who is the second winner in these three? Well, it's actually quite hard to pick because both Northern Territory and Tasmania has very, very minimal quota. However, if we compare Northern Territory and Tasmania's criteria, I would say Northern Territory is the winner because the additional criteria, or they don't have that prioritization of the gold, green, orange and things like that, and a lot of different pathway to actually categorize people. But the living condition or living environment, compare the two, probably living in Tasmania is more comfortable than living in Northern Territory. But that's for for your choices and the how you adapt. Some people like the cold places, some people is happy for a more warm places to live. So anyway, should you have more question, query, more than welcome to leave a comment right down below, and I see you next video. Goodbye.